actors seeking to address climate adaptation issues in semi-arid and arid regions in Latin America. In Module 1 of this Learning Alliance, we will be matching up the major climate adaptation issues with the main actors in order to analyze the differences from around the world and pull out the enabling factors. Last week we thought about the most pressing adaptation issues, and this week we will look at the actors that are seeking to address these issues. Invariably, the success of these actors will be different from country to country. In some cases, we will see that national regulations are in place, but that in practice it is local NGOs that are having the greatest impact. In other instances, we will see very successful national programs. The success of these actors may vary according to the issue at hand, be it water or migration, for example, or may vary between countries. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change has identified 3 types of adaptation. Anticipatory adaptation is put into practice before impacts of climate change take place. Autonomous adaptation is not a direct response to climate change, but is a response to environmental or socio-economic changes. And planned adaptation is the result of deliberate policy decisions based on an awareness that action is required to respond to specific changes. Invariably, the different actors have different approaches to climate adaptation, and we will see examples of this when we explore the different case studies. Various international conventions play a key role in the development of climate adaptation policies and practices, both in Latin America and around the world. International donor organizations make important contributions to policy design and concrete project implementation. These include the Red Cross, the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and various United Nations agencies such as UNDP and UNEP. The World Bank, for example, finances several projects in semi-arid regions of Mexico and Brazil with an aim to reduce rural poverty and conserve biodiversity. Multinational regional collaborations allow neighboring countries to share experiences, practices, and ideas about addressing climate adaptation needs. National governments play an important role in climate adaptation through policy design. Climate adaptation is often linked to the Ministries of Environment or Science and Technology. Here we will look at a few examples of the different ways that national governments are addressing climate adaptation in Latin America. In Argentina, the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development has created various national programs to monitor the climate and make projections for the future, to promote awareness of climate change, and to react to climate variability through adaptation. In Chile, the Ministry of Environment is the entity that plans for climate variability and climate change actions, including adaptation. In 2007, Bolivia issued its National Adaptation Plan, which aims to reduce vulnerability to climate change and promote planned adaptation within the framework of 5 sectorial programs. 1. Water resources. 2. Food security. 3. Health. 4. Human settlement and risk reduction. And 5. Ecosystems. In Mexico, the National Institute of Ecology works under the Secretariat of Environment on climate change issues. The National Climate Change Strategy identifies measures to strengthen national and local adaptive capacity. It is common for state governments to also implement their own climate adaptation plans due to the varying conditions found in different parts of a country. One example is in the state of Pernambuco in Brazil, which developed its climate change plan together with the NGO Care Brazil and Brazilian researchers. Adaptation measures include measures to increase efficient use of water resources, integration of climate change impacts into capacity building programs for farmers, payment for environmental services, recuperation of degraded lands, or testing of appropriate agricultural practices. In Latin America, NGOs play an important role in climate adaptation. For example, the Brazilian National Social Mobilization Network works to reformulate adaptation as a concept linked to poverty and vulnerability to promote social inclusion of poor communities. In Bolivia, the LIDEMA community-based adaptation program is carried out by a network of environmental NGOs and aims to facilitate the development and implementation of community-based adaptation models in different regions.